want you to listen to the following very closely, and then maybe you can try and understand what targets of human experimentation, which always has organized gang stalking attached to it, experience neurally. Just listen.
Amazing. Right, and he's measuring sort of an indirect response as related to the emotional state of the people as they're watching or seeing that individual, and you can measure all kinds of physiological factors within a body that will tell you how a person's responding, and that's what you want to know. If you want to build good advertising, if you want to know how people truly react to someone, don't do a questionnaire. Monitor activity that's going on with them physically, and then you get the truth. You get the real truth. And that's what the gamers have figured out, too, in more modern times, is they don't use a bunch of questionnaires at the end and make their decisions based on that. They make their decisions based on what the brains of the participants are actually doing. So they tweak those games to affect the same centers of the brain that would be associated with addictive behaviors. Because they want you addicted to the game. The same parts of the brain that bring you the pleasure centers, the same things that are associated with either sex or drug stimulation.
Now I want you to listen also mostly to this next, because it 100% applies to human experimentation targets, and human experimentation targets are always gang stalked. Listen very carefully. These human experimentation targets are being used to perfect technology, and they're also being manipulated with the technology. Listen closely.
The same centers can get fired by visual and auditory images, and this becomes a very, very powerful medium for lots of different things. But I think that was his secret, and it would be accurate most of the time. Barring the human factor, I guess.
Exactly.
Right here. Listen.
Exactly. Tell me a little bit about electronic telepathy. What is that?
This is the idea, and this is one of I alluded to this in the last segment about DARPA.
Oh, and I apologize, I keep interrupting this, but I want you to understand something. This has already been perfected and put into play with human experimentation targets for neuromanipulation, human experimentation, and for exploitation. I know it for a fact.
DARPA having a couple of projects in California, and this is exactly what it is. Their thought is to develop enough knowledge to be able to look at the brain and know what people are thinking, but more importantly, from a military perspective, then to be able to shape information for communicating with their own troops covertly, using this direct sort of input to the mind. You are the radio, you don't need a radio. And then the idea of your adversaries being able to override their normal mental functions and impose within their minds not just attitudes or emotional states, but actual thoughts and ideas that may even conflict with their existing thoughts and ideas, but will create absolute chaos mentally for these individuals. And the idea is telepathy for the use of managing your own troops as a new form of communication, and then this other idea of interfering with the function of other people. In fact, if you think about the internet as sort of the modern version of the worldwide mind, there's actually was a prediction made by one of the big futurists, and there was a special on PBS on the worldwide mind, and this was the idea that eventually we figure out how to literally link the minds, artificially link the minds of the planet. I believe we're already linked. It's just we're not aware of it. We're not able to, our belief systems aren't able to suspend long enough for us to awaken to the fact that we are connected. That's I think, one of the big exciting things in my work in the mind effects area is how many people, how many top flight scientists I've met around the world that believe the next evolution of mankind is to reach these higher states of consciousness, these unusual or anomalous human capacities, including things like telepathy. The idea that electronic telepathy is just a synthetic version of what is the natural radio of human beings, if you will. That's what telepathy is. It's communication between people at an energetic level that we haven't figured out quite yet how to translate, interpret. But if you think about it as a radio signal, we're a big transceiver. Each of us is a transceiver and a transducer. You know, we're picking up energy, we're transferring energy, we're changing energy within our systems. We are an energetic system from A to Z. It's figuring out, and that's again where energy medicine, mental telepathy, higher or unusual human capacities are all associated with change in energy states, and that's where the galvanic response of your colleague would recognize that these physiological responses, or the other way around, you drive the physiology and you create the responses. So there's that kind of effect. Electronic telepathy is the idea of creating circuits to do what I think man naturally can do if we can ever just break down our belief systems enough to transit that point.
Nick, how much of this is Machiavelli?
Drive the physiology to drive the response. That's part of what organized gang stalking expeditions is all about. Yeah, to excite the target neurally, to get the body to react physiologically, so they can record, the EEG spikes. Yeah, so they can clone them and then upload them into another individual. That's part of it. That's literally part of it. My name is Leslie Williams. I expose these heinous crimes. You would not believe the neural manipulation that happens to a target. You just would not believe it. Alright, I gotta go. Look in the comments feature of this YouTube video. Thank you.